An unbelievable coincidence nearly ended my marriage. I was jolted awake in the dead of night by my phone buzzing. When I picked it up, I heard my wife's voice saying she'd just finished her shift at the hospital and needed a ride because her car wouldn't start. Groggy, I promised to be there soon, grabbed my keys, and headed out, leaving my phone behind in my haste. When I arrived at the hospital parking lot, I couldn't spot her anywhere. The only person around was a young woman perched on the hood of her car. After waiting for about 20 minutes, I approached her and asked if she needed assistance. She brushed it off, saying her boyfriend was on his way. I lingered for nearly an hour, growing impatient, before heading inside to search for my wife. I spotted a familiar nurse and asked about my wife's whereabouts, only to be told she wasn't scheduled to work that day. Completely baffled, I borrowed a phone to call her. When she answered, she was sobbing, demanding to know how I could betray her. I was utterly lost and asked what she meant. Apparently, she'd been home the whole time, sleeping beside me. All she heard was me answering the phone saying, "All right, sweetheart, I'll be there, love you," before bolting out the door. She checked my phone, saw I'd called an unknown number, and was so distraught she started researching divorce attorneys. Half asleep, I hadn't even noticed she was in bed next to me when I left to pick her up. Still, I had no clue who I'd spoken to on the phone. Then it clicked. I hurried back to the young woman in the parking lot and asked if she was certain she'd called her boyfriend. She double-checked her phone and gasped. She'd misdialed by one digit and reached me instead. We both burst out laughing at the absurdity of it all, and I helped her get her car running. When I got home, my wife was still in tears and refused to believe my explanation. She stayed furious for days. Then, out of nowhere, she came home beaming. She apologized for doubting me, explaining that a colleague had mentioned a young woman at the hospital who accidentally called a stranger's husband instead of her boyfriend for a ride, and that clueless guy actually showed up.